Wasn't planning to mention this in my introduction, but you brought this up and it relates directly to it, right? So I posted on social media about this event, and I wanted to be constructive in the community to set a tone where your mayor and other city leaders have asked for help. I'm not in office right now, and so I want to think about as a businessman or as somebody who's lived the American dream, how can I help? I appreciate that. I tried. Thank you. And we didn't get to Ohio, so. But I thinking about, this country's blessed us with so much. We've lived the American dream. I thought, okay, how can we use our resources to do what's right and help the community here? So this is a story about this trip. Just tells you about the power of bureaucracy in America. So we say, okay, maybe it's the hospital that's strained. So I call around city leaders. They say, no, it's not really the hospital. It's primary care that's actually been strained the most. And there's some nonprofits working on primary care here. And so we offered a $100,000 gift to support those charitable efforts. And guess what got in the way? They turned down the gift. Bureaucracy along the way. And I think that it has something to do with I can only speculate, it has something to do with my political perspective or otherwise. But I think that the reality is we need to put that to one side and say, if we have ways to solve problems, whether it's in the VA, whether it's in the private sector, whether it's in philanthropy, just get the bureaucracy out of the way so that at least in government, the people who we elect to run the government once again run the government. And in the private sector too, the people who actually are running the show are people who actually care about solving the problem rather than looking after their own optics or appearances. And if we do that, I think we're going to save the country. So thank you. Why don't you come on up, sir.
For President Trump in 2016, 2020, and I will again on November 5th. President Trump vowed to do, quote, large deportations from Springfield, Ohio. But like you said earlier, most, if not nearly all of the immigrants here are here legally. So the notion of deporting all of them and then everything will be okay is not based in reality. So my question to you is this. What realistic plans can you, President Trump, and Congress produce for Springfield and cities like Springfield to be able to adapt and thrive for all of us, both citizens and immigrants?
I appreciate your thoughtful question. I don't agree with 100% of it, but I appreciate you identifying who you're voting for, but still are able to ask tough questions. I like that. So I'll say something here. First of all is the most important part of your question is we can fall into a trap, and I don't want to see us fall into this, is there are real problems that we need to address in this country that actually have nothing to do with immigration as well. And I think that we can sweep a lot of that under the rug. Those are failures of our elected and increasingly unelected leaders of the country that we got to address by way of economic growth in this country, wage stagnation in this country. You think about even workforce training and preparedness for the changing economy, our reliance on China for our modern way of life. These are big issues even outside of the specific immigration and mass migration issues. So part of your point is we can't sweep all that under the rug and just blame it on immigrants. I agree with you, actually. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. How are we going to achieve mass deportations? Well, first of all, you got anybody who's committed a crime in this country, anybody who is actually currently detained. That's an easy set of deportations right out the gate. You're talking about millions of people that fit those two categories together. That alone would be the largest mass deportation in American history. The next thing you got to do is, it's like you got a clogged drain, right? What do? First thing you do is you turn off the faucet. You don't try to clean the drain while you leave the faucet on. Use our military to secure the border. Use the National Guard if necessary. Aquatic barriers in the Rio Grande. And yes, complete the construction of the wall, which is not a racist or xenophobic action. And so the way I think about it is, let's just talk about some principles we can agree on. All right, maybe if I was writing this down, we'll be a little more precise, but I'll give it to you kind of off the top here. Think about it like your body, right? Violation of your consent. A nation's body is its land. No migration without consent, number one. Number two, consent should only be granted to migrants who benefit the United States of America. And number three is, those who enter without consent shall be removed.